Hey, welcome back for part 6 of McMahon's Last Stand. I'm AmKay, and this is Purple Sky 11. I've been going through every page of Janelle Grant versus WWE, Vince McMahon, and John Laurinaitis. So if you're new here, please understand this video is part of a series, and you can find a link in the description box if you want to catch up. And if this isn't your first rodeo, welcome back. This video is for your entertainment only. I am not a legal expert or an expert of anything really. I'm just a wrestling fan, so please don't take anything I say seriously. And this video contains descriptions of sexual assault as outlined in a legal document. The events described are allegations only, pending the outcome of litigation, and the content may be upsetting to some viewers. Discretion is advised. I also have a short video out with some breaking news about the identities of the 4 corporate officers named in the lawsuit, so be sure to check that out as well. And picking up from where Part 5 ended, we are still in the factual allegations section of the complaint, which is outlining Janelle Grant's history with McMahon, Laurinaitis, and WWE. And now we're at subsection G. McMahon recruits other men and forces Ms. Grant into sex trafficking. And I'm warning you right now, these text messages we're about to look at in this section are so bad that I'm concerned even showing them on screen could get my channel taken down. And I have this habit of making bad jokes and giggling at things that make me uncomfortable, so please bear with me as I awkwardly make my way through this next part. So here we go at number 133. In May 2020, McMahon had recruited an individual whom he manipulatively referred to as his friend to engage in a threesome with McMahon and Ms. Grant. The friend turned out to be McMahon's physical therapist at Alternative Clinic and is referred to herein as physical therapist. Oh shit. I don't know about you, but for me that's a plot twist. I thought they were having threesomes with Laurinaitis. I had no idea about this with the therapist until now. You can see more about Ms. Grant's experience with the Alternative Clinic in part 5 of this series. Number 134. To induce Ms. Grant's participation in the threesome, McMahon began referring to Ms. Grant as his girlfriend and sent her a large bouquet of flowers. Nevertheless, on May 8, 2020, Ms. Grant expressed apprehension about participating in the threesome. In response, McMahon insisted that the plans were already made and suggested he would lose a friendship if she did not go through with it. Number 135. On the day of the threesome, on May 9, 2020, Ms. Grant showed up to the condo, but reiterated that she did not want to go through with the act. She expressed fear of being thrown around like a rag doll by McMahon and physical therapist. Oh my god. After Ms. Grant clearly stated she wanted to back out, McMahon responded by telling Ms. Grant for the first time that he loved her, stunning her into silence. Oh, so McMahon's playing the I love you card now. That's the dirtiest trick in the book. Dirtiest trick. Number 136. McMahon's manipulative tactic resulted in the outcome he wanted. Oh my god, of course it did. And he led her down the stairs to the bedroom where physical therapist was already waiting to begin the threesome. You know, I still can't believe a 40-year-old woman fell for this crap, but apparently that's an unpopular opinion. Which, by the way, the fact that I'm asking questions about all of this absolutely does not mean that I'm defending McMahon. And anyone who's watched any of my videos should know that I think McMahon is a world-class douche canoe. He's probably done a lot worse than what he's accused of by Janelle Grant. But I'd be lying to myself and to all of you if I said this complaint is rock solid and that this alone will take McMahon down. I keep waiting for news to start breaking of more accusers coming forward and, well, I'm still waiting. I've said before this could be the calm before the storm. Maybe federal charges are coming. But if we're going to bring federal charges into this conversation, I have 4 words to say about that. Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell. Right there are your traffickers. And the federal government doesn't seem to care about the teenagers, the teen girls, the children who they trafficked. And by the way, there were a lot of names mentioned in thousands of pages of those Epstein documents. But you know a name I've never heard linked to anything Epstein ever is Vince McMahon and the WWE. To be very clear, I'm not on McMahon's side here. I'm not on anyone's side. I'm trying to weed out the bullshit so I can find the truth. And sometimes that becomes an ugly process, but it is what it is. Anyway, I have a lot to cover in this video, and it's about to get really ugly, so please subscribe and hit that like button. And because of the content, this video will probably not qualify for monetization through YouTube. If you'd like to support the channel, you can send $1 my way via the Cash App link in the description box. Just keep in mind that all of this was going on during the pandemic. In April of 2020, we had a pre-taped WrestleMania that was filmed in the empty WWE Performance Center. Drew McIntyre won his title to the sound of silence, and the government was telling us to practice social distancing and to avoid group gatherings, such as sleepovers, play dates, working out at the gym, going to church, and even having visitors in your house. And now here we are in early May 2020 on the timeline of this complaint, and McMahon is scheduling threesomes. So, picking up at number 137, early in the encounter, and I guess by encounter they're talking about the threesome. This says, McMahon immediately directed Ms. Grant to lay down on her back, oh my god, in a supplicating position, while straddling over her. Oh god, this is that part. Okay, here we go. McMahon defecated on Ms. Grant's head. Oh my god. I can't believe I'm reading this. McMahon left to shower off, but he instructed Ms. Grant to remain in place with excrement in her hair and to continue performing for his friend. While Ms. Grant requested protection, none was offered. McMahon and physical therapist actively continued with the threesome and directed Ms. Grant's sexual performance for an hour and a half while she was left covered in feces. Just, ew. You know, I would like to know, actually no, I don't want to know, but how did she make it through an hour and a half like that? I've never been in that situation, fortunately, but I imagine if this wasn't previously agreed upon, or expected at the very least, I imagine a spontaneous reaction would be really difficult to contain in that moment, right? I mean, that's a genuine, yo, what the fuck are you doing moment. Yet this girl just goes with it. And she's able to keep her game face on for over an hour. And I have a feeling she still kept going back because at some point, Laurinaitis gets involved. And we haven't even gotten to that part yet. Number 138. Following the threesome, on May 11th, 2020, McMahon sent an explicit message to Ms. Grant that further detailed his fantasies of seeing her engaged in sexual relations. And then I had to censor parts of the text message, so I'm gonna pop that up on the screen here. Okay, so you can see at the top the date, May 11th, 2020 at 1:46 p.m. And Vince writes, I love it. That's you, Janelle. You just can't get enough, can you? In the future, it's going to be so bad that you'll demand to be twice a day, and not just with name redacted in a three-way. And the name that's there is redacted in the document. I'm assuming it's the name of physical therapist at Alternative Clinic. But of course, I don't know that for sure. Vince writes, why not let others see the beautiful, voluptuous body and watch you, oh my gosh, and watch you shake uncontrollably when you come. I'm hearing McMahon's voice in my head as I'm reading this. That's what I'm giggling about. This says, they'll go out of their minds. Then I'll find more friends and will tie you up so you're helpless. Oh, good Lord, how many more friends do you think Vince has in mind here?
There's 100 of those things out there.
How many did you say?
100.
Vince writes, I'll direct them to have their way any way they want. Who can make you scream? I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be scream the loudest. Maybe I'll just line them up and have them in your mouth. your puss all over your all at the same time. You'll be covered in and we'll make you eat it all and taste everybody's cum. The next morning you'll be a little sore, but you're still going to want more. After all that fucking over and over, I'll be... And then it just trails off there. Thank goodness for that. Okay, so now we're at number 139. McMahon then pressured Ms. Grant into several additional threesomes, in large part because she felt she had no other choice. I so dislike when people say, I didn't have a choice. Unless there's a boomstick pointed at your head, I feel like there's always a choice. But this says Ms. Grant felt she had no other choice, particularly after McMahon's comments that he had personally ensured that she had not lost her job. Number 140. Her subsequent run-ins with physical therapist at Alternative Clinic also served as a reminder of how much was at stake if she did not obey. McMahon controlled Ms. Grant's employment, income, paid for her medical care, circulated naked pictures of her, and ignored her lack of consent for the first threesome. Wait, lack of consent? Exactly where was the lack of consent there? We'll just keep going with it here. Number 141. Indeed, when text conversations would begin to cross over from McMahon's fantasies into reality, Ms. Grant often attempted to avoid physical encounters with physical therapists, as on September 23, 2020, when she told McMahon there was, quote, no room for a third body. Number 142. After the threesomes began, McMahon became more sadistic, and his fantasies focused on control, such as choke, sensory deprivation, pain, humiliation, and group scenarios in which Ms. Grant was to be physically overwhelmed and subservient. And I don't know what's sensory deprivation. I'm guessing maybe blindfold or something. I don't know. I'm definitely not that girl, and I'm certainly no Puritan either, but this kind of stuff just isn't part of my prowl. So, anyway, we've got another text message to look at. Okay, as you can see, there's no date or time attached to this image of the text. So I'm going to try to read through this without having to giggle. So, Vince writes, R.E. your last picture. You need your pants ripped off and, oh my god, and 3 big black dicks in all 3 holes at the same time. Way up your puss and way up your ass, as far as they will go, but even farther. And the thickest cock goes down your throat so it makes you gag and convulse as those big black cock pound away. It feels like from the start you're being assaulted, but it's made you come non-stop. Just one continuous, constant org. And just before you pass out, those big black dicks squirt their loads of cum inside you. Oh my god. And then there's a little standalone exclamation mark there. Vince was obviously excited about this picture Ms. Grant had sent him. As you lay on your stomach, the cum is coming out of all your holes. I'll turn you over and jerk off all over you. Oh, Vince, you certainly have a way with words. And the complaint continues at number 143. On one occasion, he, that would be McMahon still, he instructed Ms. Grant, quote, do not knock on the door, 'cause if I see you, I will rip you in the hallway. Number 144. To leave no doubt regarding the dynamic of their relationship, on May 12, 2020, McMahon texted Ms. Grant, quote, I'm the only one who owns you and controls who I want to fuck you. And it says that was a theme that was often reiterated throughout their involvement. Number 145. On June 17, 2020, Ms. Grant sent texts to McMahon noting her 1-year anniversary in joining WWE, and it says that McMahon ignored her. Oh, ouch. That's harsh. That would have also been close to the 1-year anniversary of this relationship or involvement, whatever they want to call it, right? So, yeah, Ms. Grant, for whatever reason she did it, she went above and beyond to please McMahon. And if she believed they were in a real relationship, that silence from him probably felt like a punch to the gut, especially after Vince told her he loves her. Number 146. A month later, McMahon reminded Ms. Grant about the far-reaching results of his texting out explicit content of her. And then it says, quote, "By now, thousands of men see you every day all over the world. They all want to fuck you." Really? Thousands? Really thousands? I guess it could have been that. I don't know. McMahon truly is a piece of... Number 147. Around this time, McMahon openly shared photographs and salacious stories about Ms. Grant with WWE crew at TV tapings, a group McMahon also referred to as her fan club. Oh, God. Indeed, McMahon exuberantly messaged her a, quote, truthful story of having just shared explicit content of her with a group of 12 men on the WWE tech crew and recounted the obscene details he shared with them. One more text in this section. Are you ready? All right, we're starting at the top of the column on the left. You can see the date, July 21st, 2020 at 8:59 p.m. Vince writes, "I just passed my phone around to a bunch of guys on the tech crew. They were screaming, 'OMG, she's fucking beautiful. Look at that. I'd like to get that.'" And then he writes, "I paused to count out loud how many guys there were. 12. And then I said, okay, there's 12 of you, and she would love to fuck each and every one of you at one time." And then it says in parentheses, "The guys cheered. But she will only do it if she takes 3 at the time." Then in parentheses, it says, "That brought a huge reaction." And then Vince writes, and this is in quotes, "She wants one deep in her ass, one way down her throat, and one in her puss. And you can pat her and keep on patting her until you pop your lip. She may scream and try to say no, although it would be difficult to say anything with a cock down her throat." And then in parentheses, it says, "They laughed." I love how Vince uses quotation marks in this text. He really wants you to know this is what he said, word for word. And all of the interpolations in the parentheses, Vince is writing this text like it's a script or like a promo or something, right? It's odd. It's disturbing. Now we're moving to the top of the column on the right, and it says, "I then said, quote, listen, no matter what, just pound away till you squirt." And then he writes, "Baby, these guys were having a blast with me. Some of them didn't believe me, so I said, quote, you were the greatest fuck in the world, and no matter how much you get, you always wanted more. And then I said, quote, she loves cum." And then he writes, "Baby, these techs, in parentheses, as we call them, we're having the time of their lives, listening to my truthful story. I then said you would take a 10-minute break between each fuck, but then you would get back on your hands and knees with your ass in the air and say, okay, I'm ready, who's next? LOL," he writes. LOL. Oh my God. He writes, "I drove them wild, baby, or I should say, you drove them wild. Just imagine if this really happened, baby, how much you would have coming out of all your holes." Oh my. If Vince was this desperate for attention at WWE, that's really pathetic. That he couldn't figure out how to remain relevant in his own company without exploiting this woman. What I would like to see are her responses to these text messages. I'd like to see her side of these conversations, but we don't have that here, so we don't necessarily have full context. Oh my goodness. Okay, so now we're at number 148. On the occasions when Ms. Grant informed McMahon that she was physically injured during their sexual encounter, McMahon's responses varied from apologies to non-accountable pushback and blaming impulse control. Oh, of course, he's such a dick. I don't know if McMahon ever takes personal accountability for anything that he does. That's the vibe I get from that man. This says when encounters were particularly brutal, Ms. Grant learned to bookend the truth of her injuries with compliments to create the least amount of pushback from McMahon. However, Ms. Grant sustained brutal and painful injuries, including bleeding, swelling, bruising, and spans of incontinence. Oh my gosh. Resulting from McMahon's forceful use of his fists, adult toys, and objects unsafe for vaginal insertion or penetration. Oh my God. When it says fists, I have a feeling they're not talking about McMahon punching her. I'm pretty sure it means he was, fisting her. I'm just sitting here shocked. Like, my God, what would this girl not do? I mean, and I don't mean it oh God, that's terrible. I don't mean it that way. I mean, what was the line for her? Like, what would have been enough is enough? What would that point have been for her? For me, I would have been out a long time ago. This sounds absolutely awful. I wouldn't wish this on anyone. No job is worth this. So, number 149. For instance, on August 28, 2020, Ms. Grant texted McMahon that she was injured during their latest sexual encounter as a result of McMahon's insistence on penetrating Ms. Grant with extra-large sex toys, including a vibrating wand that caused her to panic. McMahon ignored Ms. Grant's warning that the device was not meant for insertion. Oh God, no! And forcefully shoved the wand inside of her so deeply that it became stuck for a period. Oh my God. She texted she was in pain and bleeding a lot between last night and today. And, quote, I'm on the floor right now because I can't get comfortable, end quote. Holy shit. And on August 29th, 2020, she texted him an update that she was still really uncomfortable, saying, quote, I got hurt in some way that I'm having trouble describing, end quote. And it says that McMahon did apologize, saying that, quote, sometimes I just get carried away. Oh my God, what a fucking asshole. Why didn't he take her to alternative clinic to make sure she was okay? So I'm getting a little angry and I'm feeling a little red-faced from reading all of that, so I'm gonna stop right there. The next part will continue, as you can see here at subsection H, where McMahon recruits Laurinaitis into his exploitation of Ms. Grant and transfers her into Laurinaitis' department at WWE and trafficking and sex acts at WWE headquarters. So, we're getting to the part now where Laurinaitis gets involved in this mess, and that's where we'll pick up in part 7. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe, and while you're down there, hit that little like button and share this video with anyone you think might be interested in the content. This is AmKay at Purple Sky 11. As always, thank you for your time and listening to what I have to say, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye!